Hey guys, I'm Morthadon, and we are back for Frieren Season 1, Episode 11. So, last time we had a great episode, a fantastic episode, where we had the power struggle between Frieren and, uh, Aurora. Aura. Not Aurora. Aura, the guillotine. And Frieren won. I figured Frieren was gonna win this fight somehow, and I figured it was gonna be in a OP fashion. I just wasn't sure if it was gonna be winning at the mana game, pretending to be mind controlled, and then getting the jump on her, or just straight up overpowering her, like, with the mana like she did. So it ended up being that way, and it was really badass. I love power scales, and this was literally a scale of power, so, and just that reveal of, like, the mage before you is over 1,000 years old. It was just really cool. And I just love overconfident people that can get hammered down to earth. I tend to do it a lot when I have like friends that sometimes get a little overconfident sometimes, and I'll like start making fun of them in some regards, in some situations where they completely fail miserably after being so confident, you know. So it's it's something I take pleasure in, and maybe that's not a good thing, but it is what it is. Anyway, my dog is here with me tonight, so if you hear any snoring or snorting, it's probably her. So just letting you guys know ahead of time. But let's jump into it and see what happens this time. We're gonna start here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, now. Oh. Did she come back after the sun's rising? Paying respects to the soldiers, maybe? There's no way she'd pay respects to a demon. Look at that art. Sad, but beautiful drawing. Alright. Luckily, my neck is doing better. I hurt my neck last weekend, and man, it's been... At first, it hurt just to sit still. Like, I've had stiff necks before, and usually it's one of those things where you, like, move it, right, and it loosens up, and it might hurt a little bit when you move it. Like even now, I feel it a little bit, but it's mostly loosened up right now. It hurts the most if I look, like, way far down. And I was really worried. Like, I don't know, whenever I have something like that, I'm worried it's something that's, like, not gonna go away or not gonna go away quickly, but I think I'm day 3, and day 4. The first day I heard it, and it didn't hurt as bad as the second day. When I woke up the second day, it was like, holy shit. And I ended up taking ibuprofen later in the day that day, and then took ibuprofen twice yesterday, and now today I haven't taken any ibuprofen, and it's mostly better, but a little pains here and there, but they're wars. You don't need to run. Not really. He has no idea how easy of a bat. Man, oh my god. That's gonna be so rough if you found it as an easy battle after they struggled so hard. I'll talk about more of that in the discussion. Didn't even bother to say the name. Just henchwoman. She might not have been around when they said the name, though, actually, so... Hmm. They found his son. Yeah, I mean, not just for, you know, him having closure about his son and everything, but, like, this is a war that's been going on for 80 years. Roughly. At least Aura came back 80 years ago. Oh, shit. Hmm. Another fake. Her hobby even includes collecting the fakes. We've seen her take a fake one before, too. Yep. Ooh. Oh my god, he didn't even walk in, just the door open, he said it, and it just shot on his face. Uh-oh, what's she gonna say? Oh. I thought she was gonna say, if that's the case... Oh, nice. Oh, Frieren will be thrilled about that. She loves that kind of thing, right? We gotta get out of here fast. No, he's awake again. Oh. Oh, they're helping to rebuild a bit. Nice song. Not often you get lyric episodes in the... I mean, yeah, lyric songs in the middle of an episode. And it's not opening or ending either. It's cool. So I spent a decent amount of time here healing up, repairing, getting ready. Oh man. In honor of all those that have fallen. Damn. Is this what they cleared the trees in the back for? Or was that at the battlefield? Seems like it's cold season. Ah, more problems, eh? She considered first class? Yeah, exactly. If she's not like a part of the ranking system. Oh no! Are we gonna have like a competition or something? Oh, maybe not. Oh shit. That's barely anything. Oh, okay. So we will do it. Is this I'm just picturing it right now. It's gonna be like One Punch Man going to get his the fitness exam from One Punch Man. Where she's just gonna like blow every test out of the water. Oh, sorry about that. My alarm went off. Forgot to turn it off. Well, I'm making good time. Usually that alarm goes off before I start recording. Shit. Oh. Okay. Jeez. I've seen that. Well, that's not good. Do they have any kind of magic to help with the storm? Some kind of dome? Shit. You carried him with magic earlier, but I guess you don't want to expend mana right now. Oh, some kind of cabin. I'm gonna hope it's still somewhere they can stay and not... Oh, somewhere someone just lives. What is he doing in there? Oh, exercising. Okay. Is it an elf? An elf! Oh, they're just gonna shut the door. He just looks at him and keeps going. Whoa, I know that voice. Who is that? I just heard that voice. Shit. Kraft the monk. He knows of it. Unless they explained it already. That's not good. Come on, Stark! Uh-oh. Are they using their body heat? Or something? They have a fire right there. They shouldn't need to do that. I hope it's Kraft. Using his body heat. Yeah! Well, wait for the reaction. Yep. Yep. Mmm. Can tell. Dude, you're ripped. You must be strong, man. Damn it. I cannot place the voice. Mmm. They're elves, they live a long time. She lived in obscurity and everything, right? But he might mean, like, what village did you originate from? Oh, I don't know why. Whenever, like, anime characters are fully wrapped up in blankets, it always looks so damn cozy. I mean, being wrapped up in a blanket is cozy, but... So are they traveling, or are they... No, they're just going back to that same hut. Okay. So they're just staying until the weather's in a decent spot to move on, I suppose? 6 months, damn. Wow, so they just toughed it out through the winter. Hey, he has one too. Interesting. So what made you believe? Hmm. Interesting. Oh. No. Hmm. No one to acknowledge your... Oh, he said the same thing. It's funny to think about these coincidences of people saying the same thing to her, but I suppose when you've lived as long as she has, granted a lot of it has come from this journey, right? But conveniently. But you would imagine that if you live a long time, you're going to hear people say similar things, right? Kinda happened. A memory she'd forgotten, huh? Nope. Nice. Can still cherish them. Nice. Alright, they have the place all cleaned up, ready for someone else that may need it someday. A cool character to show up for just an episode. Alright. I just coincidentally said alright when the song was saying it. But yeah, it like messed me up for a second there. I was like, wait, what? What? That was a good episode. I liked it. It was, I mean, after the craziness of the last few, we got to kind of have like a breath of fresh air where we kind of wrapped up, healed up, fixed up the village and everything, and then moved on. We have the mage qualifications we gotta figure out once we make it there. Um, I wanted to look up the voice actor for Kraft because it's super bugging me because I literally just watched something with him in it. Characters. trying not to get too spoiled. I don't want to look up any... There he is. I don't want any... I saw a couple, like, thumbnails of characters when I was looking through that I didn't know yet, but I didn't look at any names or anything, so if there is any kind of spoiler with their name, I didn't get it. But, okay, that is it for episode 11. And I am on his voice actor page, so let's see what we're looking at, because it was something... I was probably rewatching a show recently that I heard his voice in, I would guess. Either that, he's in one of the other shows I'm actively watching at the moment. But yeah, I'm pretty sure he's a pretty... Like, he's a voice I've definitely heard in, like, several places, but there's one I heard just the other day. Let's see here. Oh, is he a Vinland Saga character? I could almost hear that as being a Vinland Saga character, but maybe... But which one? He's had so many roles. I'm still in, like, a lot of the older content, I think. At least a lot of these look like older ones. Are they ordered by when they... This might be difficult. Oh, he was Roswaal. Okay. Wow. Like, I know Roswaal put on one hell of a performance with what he was saying, but... I guess I could hear Roswaal in that. That means he's a lot of characters then, because I've heard Roswaal in several other places that I've looked it up and it was him. Okay, he was Toji from Toji Zenin, or Toji Fushiguro from Jujutsu Kaisen. I just finished Jujutsu Kaisen. Granted, it had been a handful of episodes since I heard that voice, but that was one that I heard very recently. So that could be it, but I'm pretty sure he's in, like, almost every anime I watch. Or at least he's in a lot. Sorry. He's a One Punch Man guy. Like one of the alien dudes from season 1. So many roles. I kind of wish it didn't show, like, repeated for, like, different, like there's, like, 10 entries in here for, like, Roswaal. Because of, like, the different forms of media. There's Kraft. Just ran into that one. How are these ordered? Because some of these are definitely older. Sorry, I'm almost done, guys. I just wanted to try and see if there was, like, something that I'd be like, ah, yes, I watched this, like, yesterday or something. Oh, I made it to the end. Okay. Alright, so either I was scrolling pretty quick, so either I went by what I heard it from, like, super recently, or it was just Jujutsu Kaisen Toji. I guess I did, well, no. Yeah. Okay. I did watch a reaction to Jujutsu Kaisen the other day, and I did go through those episodes, so it probably was that. I kind of forgot that I watched a reaction to that. But yeah, it was probably Toji from that. Okay. Because I had watched the season, and then just recently I had watched a reaction, so... Alright, anyway, sorry. I just wanted to look that up. I don't have, like, a ton to talk about for this episode anyway, but But first of all, I want to talk about like the whole like this must have been a hard battle talking to Frieren or like about Frieren, but it's got to be really tough when you struggle with a fight for so long, a war that goes on for so long, yet Frieren comes in and solves the problem so easily. Like, I'm kind of glad she wasn't, like, she just kind of stayed quiet and she wasn't like, oh, actually, it was really easy. Because, like, I feel like that's no, I don't want to say like demasculating because I feel like it would just be kind of depressing for anyone where it's like, oh, really? It was like we struggled for so long, lost so many people, yet it was so easy for you. Like, if only we had you however many years ago, this could have been wrapped up instantly, right? It's like, but there's probably a small part of him that thinks that way too, right? Like, obviously, he's super grateful for everything, but there's gotta be a small part that's like, man, I wish he had come along sooner. But yeah. So we had some tough winters. They actually had to just wait out for 6 months the entire winter, which is pretty significant. We definitely like time skip a lot. It's going to be really interesting with this being like a 10-year journey, right? They estimate like it's going to be really interesting having because a lot of the times I feel like shows try not to pass too much time so that way the characters can stay like youthful and like because obviously Frieren will stay the way that she looks, but the ones around her, I feel like some other anime would be more like willing to like slow things down just so that those characters can stay young and you can have like the draw to the younger audience by having a younger cast and stuff like that. But I think it's super interesting having the time passing and maybe have 10 years pass and we see them when they're a little a little older, because really when they started this they were around what, like 17? They might have been 18. I think when I was rewatching I realized that they were 17 at one point, or at least Fern was, and then there was like another 1 year gap or something that happened that would have put her at 18, and then so she'd be like 28 by the end of the journey. It would just be like really interesting, and her looks probably wouldn't change too much, but she'd probably look a little older by the end of it, and I think that's just cool from a story perspective, right? Is like seeing the characters age, and especially as like as someone who's in their 30s myself, I do like the idea of having the characters getting closer to my age, because I feel like I can relate more with people closer to my age rather than a lot of these anime I watch where it's like high school kids and it's like, oh, I gotta remember their kids when they're doing dumb shit. I've gone through those phases too. So, but yeah, I liked Kraft. Meeting another elf was interesting, and I like that they are, because I was thinking about it during the episode at one point. I don't know what made me think about it, but I was thinking about how when I was watching a reaction to this in the early episodes, there was one moment that I kind of forgot about and I kind of dismissed, but after watching a reaction it made me think of it. There was one moment when Fern was getting a little older and Frieren like looked at Fern's breast size, and then held her arms over her own kind of thing, and then we find out that they have no like romantic urges or reproductive urges or anything like that. So it's just interesting that she cared about that kind of thing. So it made me kind of question this episode when I like thought of it, where I was like, I feel like you would only care about your breast size if you cared about like romantic urges, right? Like your like sex appeal and stuff like that. I don't want to say that like all women that, I don't know. It's like, I'm not a woman, so I don't know what it's like, but like I feel like if you want bigger breasts, it's not necessarily for yourself, because what do they serve for yourself, right? I feel like they're to make you feel more confident in yourself while you're trying to seek someone out. And I feel like a lot of those urges would be gone if you just had no interest in finding any kind of significant other, right? So maybe I misspoke and maybe I'm wrong on that, um but yeah, as a man, I mean, there's the idea that, like, obviously sometimes men can get jealous of other people's, dick size and everything. And I mean, obviously not like people, it's not like you're always whipping them out in front of each other, I'm not saying that, um but just it's fairly natural to be like, oh, I wish I was a little bigger, or unless you're blessed, and then you're like, oh, whatever. But the whole reason I'd feel that way, like if I were to think that way, it'd be like, oh, so when I get a girlfriend, I don't have to show her this puny thing, Like I feel like that would be my mindset if I was trying to like think that way, right? It wouldn't, like, because what does it matter to me if I have a big dick or a small dick if I don't care about using it, right? Like, other than just going to the bathroom. So I mean, maybe it's different for breasts and women and stuff, but at least that's my viewpoint of it. So, but anyway, so the whole point of that was I was starting to wonder, like, I thought about that early on in this episode, and then we met Kraft, and then my mind was already on, like, that romantic stuff, and I was like, oh, okay, so we have another elf in the picture. We had her talk about how they're slowly and quietly going extinct, and then we run into a monk. Granted, he's a monk, I was gonna say, but we ran into an elf, but he's also a monk, but I gotta give props to the show where it didn't feel like they gave any kind of those, like, romantic urges. Like Frieren still felt like she didn't care at all, even though she's with this, they made him have, like, a nice body and everything, too, and it's like, they just, like, didn't care. Even Fern, like, granted, he was older and Fern's still young, like, he looked like he'd be in his, like, late 20s, early 30s or something, I feel like. Obviously, he's an elf. I know he's lived for a long time. He might even be older. The way he spoke, it's possible he's even older than Frieren. I don't know. But he talked about, like, how there's no one even alive still to know his great accomplishments. So I wonder what his great accomplishments are. But to go back to what I was saying, even Fern didn't seem like she had any kind of, like, even hints at romantic stuff. And I gotta give props to the show. I mean, she wasn't really raised in a very public environment where you learn a lot of those things. And she was raised by a priest who, I mean, who knows with Highter what he gets up to, but they're not supposed to be romantic in any sense, so she doesn't know, like, she probably didn't grow up at all having I mean, she knew her mother and father a little bit, something happened to them, but after that, for, like, the majority of her life, she was with Highter and then with Frieren, and it was, like, she didn't see a lot of examples of romance there, so I feel like her character, in general, doesn't, like, lean towards the romance side, right? It's just really it's Fern feels a lot like Frieren's character in that regard, but yeah, and I think that's because she grew up with Frieren and took on a lot of her traits. But it was just really interesting having that after me thinking about the whole romance thing, and I'm glad they followed that, like, no romantic urges. I mean, I guess the only reason I could understand is if Frieren was, like, because I guess you could have, like, you could have no romantic urges, but still not want your species to die out, right? And that's what I was thinking, like, maybe, like, if there are only a few elves left, maybe they would be more willing to, like, get together and do the do just to try to propagate their species, and make sure it keeps going. But I don't know. It's just it's an interesting dichotomy. So, but but yeah. And then I thought Kraft was gonna stick around a little longer and do a little more, but really his purpose almost was served just to remind Frieren about that moment with Heiter, which was a good moment, and it is really interesting. Like I said, having someone say the exact, because it was like the exact same words, right? It was like, "Tell me about yourself, so then I can praise you," right? I'm pretty sure they both said that exact line, but I feel like it'd probably be more common than you think when you're over 1,000 years old. A lot of people saying a lot of things to you. Eventually, some things are gonna line up. Maybe not word for word, but either way, it was an interesting moment with like this talking about like being praised, and we never really had Frieren like that, right? Like any village they go to where they try to praise her for the things she's done, she doesn't really care for it. So I think that's part of the reason why she's a little confused about the whole concept in general, is because she doesn't feel that way. So she doesn't feel the need to be praised the way that Kraft is hoping that, you know, now that no one remembers his deeds, he's hoping that when he dies, the goddess will be there to praise him. Also, she looked a little elfish. Like, I wonder if that was kind of his like vision of what would happen, right? So maybe he pictured her as an elf, because her ears were like pointing out of her hair, and her hair did look pretty puffy. But yeah, so I wonder if the goddess of creation is an elf, and it seemed like she did exist at one point, or at least Frieren's under the impression that she did exist and she was here at one point, but she hasn't showed up since that like mythological era or something she mentioned. What was her exact wording there? Can I find it? Let's see. So they wake up, they got the snow stuff, yada yada yada. Give it to Fern. She's a pious girl. She was raised there. She never got to thank the goddess. Kraft, why do you believe in the goddess? You don't, do you? And then, excluding during the Age of Mythology. The goddess of creation hasn't shown herself once in the long history of this world. I guess even that statue there has elf ears. So it seems like the goddess of creation quite possibly was an elf. I guess it makes sense if they're like long lived. If an elf becomes powerful enough, right? Maybe it could be considered a goddess. I don't know. But also like saying she hasn't shown up, excluding the Age of Mythology. So at some point during that point, she may have shown herself, which means that maybe she existed. But is that her knowing she exists, or is that her hearing that she was around, or something like that? I'm just curious what's fact and what's like story, right? And myth, I should say. So, just an interesting thing. We have stuff like that with like the goddess and like Flamme bringing magic to humanity. There's like a few little notes like that like really make me interested in the history of the world and want more information in that regard. But I don't know if we're ever really gonna get it. But yeah, I think that's gonna be it for me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. It was a good and fun episode. I actually talked a lot more than I thought I would. Granted, a lot of that time was looking up voice actor. So, but anyway, hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed. Link down in the description is my Patreon if you want to see more. This was a Patreon show, meaning that if you want to watch if you're watching this on YouTube right now, the rest of Frieren is on my Patreon, and there will also be 11 episodes of whatever has replaced it. So check that out if you're interested in more content from me. Thank you guys so much. Should be popping up on the screen and all that as well, and I'll see you guys in my future reactions. Bye-bye.